Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. One of, if not maybe the single hottest topic going into Black Ops 7 and Call of Duty this year was skill-based matchmaking, or really is skill-based matchmaking. This is the year they finally decided to go through and address things and introduce open matchmaking. We first got this as a surprise announcement back during the Black Ops 7 beta, where open matchmaking was introduced with limited or minimal consideration when it comes to skill in your overall matchmaking experience. So essentially, it's matchmaking where skill is not the priority factor, so it's not skill-based matchmaking. Now, if skill was even 51% of the factor, you could call that skill-based matchmaking because it's the majority factor in that. They don't really go into details about what minimally considered means. Is it 49% skill and 51% everything else? Is it 33% skill? Is it 5% skill? They didn't go into specifics here, which I feel like was already a little bit questionable, right? But they said, hey, it's open matchmaking, and instantaneously in the Black Ops 7 beta, you could feel a massive difference between normal skill-based matchmaking lobbies in the beta itself and open matchmaking, where the ping was consistent every single game. You were instantly getting into lobbies, and it was this whole thing. It's like, wow, this is actually a completely different experience. This is what Call of Duty should be like. Then of course it was announced that at launch of Black Ops 7, open matchmaking would be the default matchmaking option. There is, however, still the standard playlist, which is full skill-based matchmaking, where it's super strict and ridiculous, and you can play that if you want. However, when it comes to open matchmaking, a few days back we talked about how maybe Call of Duty was lying about what's going on with skill-based matchmaking and how open it actually is, because a lot of people, myself included, noticed that after the first few days of Black Ops 7 being out, the matchmaking started to feel a little bit different. It seemed like it was taking a little bit longer to get into lobbies. The overall skill across the lobbies was feeling a little bit sweatier and a little bit more hectic, and it didn't really exactly feel like the beta did with open matchmaking. So it had a lot of people sort of questioning what was going on. But of course, there is no public API for COD. Going through and getting the data of a lobby is basically impossible until the exclusive Ace posted on his new COD channel about his testing with skill-based matchmaking. And he kind of exposed, not kind of, he fully exposed that there is something wrong with open matchmaking, or something not accurate or honest about what they're saying open matchmaking is. Because in Ace's video, which I'll have fully linked down in the description below, please go and check out his entire video where he goes into all the testing and everything that he ended up discovering in this. In that video, he goes through and explains that he tested on his personal account, which is a decent stat account, and then a bot account, what the matchmaking times were like. And he noticed that on his bot account, the matchmaking times were ever so slightly faster than on his normal account. Now, it wasn't a drastic difference. Now, it's not like it took 3 minutes to find a game on the normal account and 30 seconds on his bot account. It wasn't that big of a gap by any means, but it was enough to notice a difference between the two. Furthermore, he also pointed out that in his normal account matchmaking, his ping was consistently higher every single game versus his bot account, which was basically the best connection possible that he could get to those servers. And that is the major red flag here, because this is something that I pointed out when I first started noticing something felt off. Back during the beta, when we first had open matchmaking introduced, I was instantly getting into matches, and basically every single match I was getting 22 ping or lower, which is typically the best that I connect to servers from Denver here. And then come full launch, I still get those 22 ping matches here and there, but I'm starting to see a whole lot more 40 ping, 60 ping, 75 ping. If I'm playing with my squad and all of them are on the East Coast at that time, then I'm starting to get, 80, 90 in some matches even, and that was not the case back during the beta. So that was the first little red flag for me over the past few days of playing. It's like, well, that's a little bit weird what's going on there. And now we've got actual testing done by Ace that further emphasizes there is something going on where skill is taking a priority and diminishing that connection quality. Now, as always, whenever I talk about skill-based matchmaking here, really when anyone talks about skill-based matchmaking, there is a group of people who just assume that everyone who is against skill-based matchmaking just wants to play absolute clueless players every single game and just stomp 100-0. And, well, yes, going 100-0 could be great for, productivity and efficiency. That'd be incredibly boring. There should be a varying level of skill per lobby, where one game I gotta play decent players, the next game I absolutely stomp, the next game I get stomped. Like, that variety should be a consistent thing, and that's always what Call of Duty was like back during the golden days, right? However, now with skill-based, that's not the case. You're just sweating like it's the CDL every single game, and connection needs to be the priority. That's always been my personal biggest beef with skill-based matchmaking. I should not have my connection and my gameplay experience hindered because I'm simply good at the game. That should happen to no one. Because you're good and you know how to get a lot of kills and you play fast, your connection has to suffer. That's an incredibly stupid way to go about it, putting it bluntly. And now, even though we have open matchmaking in the game, Ace just exposed that no, connection is not always being prioritized in your matchmaking experience, which is complete and utter crap, quite frankly. Now, it is the holidays, so I don't really know what Treyarch's schedule is like as far as what they're planning on posting over the course of the next few days. They might be on, a break for the holidays and not back until early next week. So it's very possible that we don't see a response or anything from Treyarch to this at all in the immediate future here. But this is something Treyarch kind of has to respond to, or something that Call of Duty kind of has to explain here, either through a more transparent breakdown of what exactly is going on with the matchmaking system. When you're in open, what are their percentage breakdowns here? Is it 45% connection, 33% skill, 10% reason to remember the name? What is the breakdown here exactly? They're going to have to go through and explain something like that, or explain why we now have data that proves there is an issue with skill-based matchmaking somehow still impacting open matchmaking to an extent. Now, it's not necessarily crazy drastic based off of Ace's studies and his data that he collected, but it's still obvious enough that proves if you are on a bot account or a lesser skilled account, your connection will not be hindered as much and you will find lobbies quicker. And that defeats the purpose of open matchmaking. And of course, they just talked about this yesterday with their Warzone dev talk as well, saying that the open matchmaking system was also going to be coming to Warzone as well. And it's like, that's great if it functions as intended. And currently, something is not functioning as intended. So what's going on here, Call of Duty? Because this was a huge talking point and people were already hesitant about this, going, yeah, that's great and it sounds awesome. And I was in the same group. It sounds great. Open matchmaking, the concept of it is great. But Call of Duty doesn't really have that trust. And this was an opportunity to prove that what they say has weight behind it, that their words actually mean something. And however long we are into the game, few weeks into the game, clearly something's not working as intended, either deliberately and they were just hoping no one noticed, we were always going to notice, or unintentionally and something is broken, which really wouldn't surprise me with the COD HQ and how everything with COD always seems to be broken to a certain extent. But something has to be done here. Something has to be addressed in some capacity here, because they are basically straight up lying with what's going on with open matchmaking. And they're using it as this marketing technique, which taking away something and then giving it back to us in a limited state with open matchmaking shouldn't be a marketing technique. That should just be how the game functions. And the marketing technique is the cool new things you're adding to make gameplay better, not something we had before that you decided to take away for monetary purposes and engagement purposes. But this is ridiculous. It's just not true that the matchmaking is open if there's a distinct difference between a good account and a bad account and what they're able to do as far as matchmaking and their pings. Something has to be said. A response has to be issued. I'm hoping Treyarch does the right thing and they do actually acknowledge this and admit that something has gone awry. So I will be, I'm not gonna lie. I was gonna say I was patiently awaiting their response, but I'm not, quite frankly, that patient with this. I'm impatiently awaiting their response to this because I think this is pretty ridiculous, all things considered. That is gonna wrap things up though. Shout out again, Ace, for going through and actually getting this data and bringing this to light because it's such a big topic and such an important topic. So again, feel free to go and check out his video linked in the description below. If you guys enjoyed this video though, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, you want to ensure you're always in the know for everything going on in COD, this is the place to be. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.